Hello. So I watched Richard Dawkins versus Ayaan Hirsi Ali, the God debate, and I gave it a 4 out of 5. I actually found this like very nice and satisfying and engaging watch. It didn't. I didn't experience it like a debate as much as like a conversation between friends uh, trying to understand each other, and it was I it was a debate in the sense that like it was purposeful. They were trying to the intention was to understand and get points across and stuff, but it didn't feel like I really appreciated it that it didn't seem like it was about like making the other person look wrong or um like I feel like often, or I don't know, debates when I don't know. Sometimes debates can have the ness of like it's just attacking all of the low hanging fruit and an awkwardness of like, oh, these rhetorical attacks and or like stuff that doesn't feel sincere. It just feels like winning is more important than understanding. And I felt like that wasn't the case here. It felt like the goal was to understand each other well, and it seemed more like I guess it was from Richard Hawkins' view, trying to understand Ayaan Hirsi. Um, anyways, I just appreciated that, and I respected and appreciated both speakers. I liked them both. I thought they both seemed like um, I want to say more nuanced people. They didn't feel like as they were, representing their side, it felt like they had an understanding of the opposition, and it wasn't just that they were like, only presenting a one-sided view. I could, the way they talked and the way they spoke, it did seem like I could imagine I was getting I was willing to trust each person, kind of thing. And I really appreciated that. As far as like the content, and I did a lot of note taking, and I might just leave most. I don't know if I'm gonna go everything there. Um, I think but trying to vaguely summarize, like, and I went over this a little bit, but yeah, like Richard Hawkins' main thing is that like he cares about what can be known, what can we say is the truth, what do we have reason to say is the truth, kind of thing, and that is kind of limited to science. What can we like, say based on what we know materially? And I think that's what make that would he'd do very well in a conversation against that Atlee pastor guy you sent me, who also seems like he's very much about like what do we know scientifically, what do we know from like technical stuff, and you know what do the facts say about this kind of thing. What can we know based on facts and history and science and stuff, rather than um, Ayaan, who could acknowledge that like that is a debate and that is an arena to discuss and have conversations about and try and get to the heart of a matter on things for. But when it comes to having faith or something, like choosing to believe something, um, that can be a different thing, especially when it comes to like Richard Hawkins doesn't have he can't explain. All right, I don't know. They had a moment, I think, where it was like, Richard Hawkins can't say what caused everything. Jan Hersey can't explain what caused everything, but she chooses to believe in the. I don't want to say the narrative because it didn't seem like that was. Well, maybe I don't know how to word what Ayaan Hersey seemed to articulate that she believed. I guess I could just say, yeah, she chooses to believe the narrative of the universe revolving around the Christian perspective, or a Christian perspective. I was also curious, like, how does she identify as a Christian? What Christians does she identify with, and what would she like consider herself in opposition to? Because they didn't go into it, but like, I'm very curious as to like what typically Christian fundamental views like does she align herself with? Is she now anti-abortion? Is she anti-contraceptions? Is she anti, trans? Is she anti, you know, yeah? I was just curious, like, what are her views on some things that are often like, religious restrictions, um, or is this like this is what gives her life? It's a lot more individualized kind of thing. It's less about what is good for society, and more, your relationship with your life in the world and how you are here and why you should live and stuff like that. They talked about the vacuum left by atheism. I don't know if I want. I talked about. I took notes on that. You can look over those. And I think one of the things that did get awkward was it did seem like they went down this like Ayaan started getting political, and again, I talked about this in my notes, but like it made it seem like it was less about, you know, um, the Christian perspective being a good one, and it was more about protecting against bad perspectives that would only come in if we didn't have something like Christianity propped up, kind of thing. Um, that seemed to be more of what the video is about and what she was arguing for, that we need something because there's a vacuum left by atheism, and violent ideologies are coming in to replace it, like wokeism and Islam, kind of thing, and nihilism. Like, we need something here because there's a vacuum, and atheism has created that vacuum, and it's not filling it in a way that's like going to lead to a good society or good people or kind of thing. um and so that was less interesting to me and more awkward, as I was like, it's interesting to me how much she's speaking about this politically rather than like, I was curious to see her personal relationship with it, but it didn't seem like they would. I mean, I guess part of the problem is like that. There's not much to debate there. That's just your experience, explaining your experience, kind of thing. And there was some interesting stuff of like, Richard Dawkins getting at like, the whole dilemma. I think was that like Richard Dawkins is about finding out the whatever is most true and whatever can be said to be true. Um, and he can't say that a belief in God or a belief in Christianity and the belief that like Jesus Christ rose from the dead and that Mary was a virgin and she had Jesus and all the supernatural things that happened in the Bible are true, because scientifically that we can't verify that, and like we have more to say that that didn't happen. That's his perspective. I know that there are Christian people and that Atlee pastor guy who disagree with that, and I haven't done the research myself, so I don't know either. um but definitely sounds like Richard Dawkins has, I think he takes the research seriously, and he does sound like he is committed to knowing what's real. um though he does sound pretty partisan as well, or like pretty prejudiced against religions as well. But anyways, I can just understand how it'd be awkward for him to be like, I can't believe in something that, taken all away, I can't see as true, or like there are things that make it something that I can't say is true, like existentially and stuff like that. And I thought that was interesting and reasonable, but also like there are some things that, I don't know. I still respected Ayan's view, and I'm still left like, yeah, I get the idea of it's a subjective experience. I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling, and I don't know how much I'm saying that's helpful at this point. But yeah, you can look at my notes. Um, but mostly I just really appreciated the talk, and I respected both people, and I thought that was cool. If there's anything you want to know more about, yeah, feel free to let me know. But yeah.